You're listening to the Tony Conley Morning Show, more compelling talk radio, 1320 WYLS and 1320 WYLS.com. Rich Hurl here with you, filling in for Tony as we head on out to the McLaren Health Plan phone line and talk with Brian Bouffard, 1320 WYLS and Fox News radio military justice expert. Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Rich, good morning. Doing great.
And this Army investigation began several months ago into the disappearance of Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, and I guess we haven't heard a whole lot about it at this point, have we?
Well, we hadn't up to really just a few days ago, and a few days ago the Army did announce that the investigation is done and is being forwarded up to the senior folks to take it for action. So after a pretty long period of really no movement that we're aware of, it looks like things are starting to accelerate now.
Okay, so the investigation is done. Do we know anything else beyond that?
Well, we don't, and unfortunately, there's no legal requirement for the Army to release that investigation to the public. So we may never actually see the details of that, but if, as a result of the investigation, Sergeant Bergdahl faces charges, that is public record, and we will all know about that, and we'll be able to draw some conclusions there.
Does an investigation like this, does it normally take this long, or does it take a shorter time than that?
No, normally it takes a shorter time. Having said that, though, this is an investigation that is a generalized fact-finding tool. So you'd be doing the same investigation if somebody took the government car out and got into a fender bender, on Main Street. Here it's being applied to a desertion, prisoner of war type scenario. So I'm not surprised that it has taken longer than normal, but I am a little surprised that it's taken this long.
Yeah, and this is something, we were supposed to learn about this, or at least some of the details of the investigation, right after the midterms. Is that right?
No, I don't know. Again, to me, it was almost a complete blackout until, like I said, just a couple of days ago. So what was actually going on internally in the Army was as much a mystery to me as to anyone.
And the Taliban officials who were involved in this swap for Bergdahl, do we know anything about what's going on with them as we speak?
I sure would like to know. As you'll remember, we released 5 senior commanders out of Guantanamo Bay, and they were going to be, quote-unquote, supervised in the nation of Qatar. And I thought at the time, and still think that was, it's kind of ridiculous to assume that they won't be rejoining their own brothers in arms against us. So I'm hoping that didn't happen. I'm hoping that if it has happened, that we have good intelligence on what's going on.
And Brian, before we let you go, assuming that there is some information released down the road, what about this case are you most interested in hearing about?
I'm most interested to see how they deal with the issue of distinguishing between unauthorized absence and desertion. It seems pretty clear, not 100% clear, but pretty darn clear that he intentionally absented himself from his unit, okay? And if you do that, you're committing unauthorized absence. It's also known as AWOL, absent without leave. Desertion requires a specific intent that when you left, that you're going to stay away permanently. So if they can prove that, then they could conceivably charge him with desertion, and then that brings a huge range of potential punishment into the scene with desertion that would not exist there necessarily with unauthorized absence.
Brian Bouffard is a 1320 WYLS and Fox News radio military justice expert. Brian, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Rich, anytime. Happy holidays.
And same to you. Merry Christmas. This is the Tony Conley Morning Show. Rich Hurl filling in for Tony on more compelling talk radio, 1320 WYLS and 1320 WYLS.com.